get funky.
All right, welcome to the Bizz, where we're all up in it. I'm your boy Daniels D Money up here in Simi.
And Aaron down in SD. Getting into it today. Today I wanted to talk about The Last Dance. Michael Jordan, I'm a diehard Laker guy, but he's the greatest player of all time. There's a debate, LeBron, never heard of him. There's a debate, LeBron, Kobe, Jordan.
I mean, we could debate that all the time, but watching The Last Dance, it's very easy to see, like, wow, just
like elite and
the drive,
dedication.
The dedication, right? I'm amazed at how this dude gets in the air and in mid-flight changes hands and just all the just amazing to watch it all spliced together. You're like, wow, he really is the greatest basketball player to ever play the game.
For me, I knew he was, super driven. I think that's the part that gets me is like, that's a lot of passion. You get up every day and you got to get, the rest of the team to try and keep up with you, physically and mentally. That drive was, I can see, the influences he had on Kobe. I mean, that drive is that Kobe called it the Mamba mentality. That drive is not easy to replicate.
It's not. And to get people to fall in behind it and keep up with your drive.
Yes.
Right.
And, and to have that same drive, even after you win the first one, the second one, the third one, fourth one, fifth, I'm like, how are you at the sixth championship? How are you still getting up and going all out for something we know, even at the time, we know that you've dominated.
Right.
And it's that's the part that gets me. And the other question I had was, takes place in the early 90s. This is when
late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, I mean, I really was obsessed with basketball in the 90s. Full disclosure, I fell off in the early 2000s. When I started seeing people get to 143, I'm like, what? Nobody plays defense anymore? All right. Basketball is definitely less physical.
Right. Well, I mean, basketball, football, they've all changed and evolved. Safety. I mean, the game has changed, definitely, for sure. I mean, Michael Jordan's era was different than Dr. J's era,
Oh, yeah. But I think that's the part I missed most about today's game is the physicality. But for me, growing up, a basketball score was like 89 to 84.
Right.
It was, that was a regular score. Now I'm seeing 122. I'm like, are you just staying on your side of the court and we'll stay on our side of the court? You could score those buckets.
Is it just that the defenses are lacking, or do we have more powerhouse teams where there's more scoring going on?
They've changed the rules to where you can't touch anybody. You can't hand check anybody anymore. You can't if you even breathe on Steph Curry, the whistle's going off.
Right.
And the one thing that I even just watching this documentary, I loved to see Charles Oakley. What about just an enforcer on the basketball court? Even Bill Lambert, an enforcer in your face. Oh man, just all these.
You saw
greats.
That clip. Speaking of, you can't breathe on Steph Curry today. You saw the clip. I think it may have been in episode 3 or 4 where the Pistons literally beat Michael Jordan up to keep him from scoring, right?
And he recognized that he was being beat up and, made changes in the offseason. But that was the strategy. Put hands on him.
Right. Well, so the game has obviously changed, and we know that. Why now? It's 2020. That footage, a lot of that footage was shot. I mean, over 30 years ago.
We had square TVs,
I mean, don't get me wrong. And it's COVID, quarantine. We're not going anywhere. We're in the house. It's great that it's on, right? You said that.
Absolutely.
It's great that it's on. Perfect time for it. But why now? How come we didn't get this documentary 10 years ago? Like,
I can't
Jordan doesn't need the money, does he?
No. Jordan's money has money. I can't imagine that Michael Jordan is insecure. That just from watching just the first 6 or 7 episodes, it's not an insecurity issue. I don't know, because there's effort. You have to get all these people. They have Charles Barkley, Isaiah Thomas, all these former players. Steve Kerr. I mean, Steve Kerr's still in the NBA as a coach,
Right.
but you have to get all these interviews from sometimes around the world. Some players are European to make this, masterpiece, because it really is a masterpiece, even though we're not done with it yet. But I don't know. The timing's weird. I think some of some stuff gets lost over time just from getting old. And I love hearing the stories. Charles Barkley had a quote in there. He goes something to the effect of, "The day I lost to Michael Jordan was the day I realized I wasn't the best player in the NBA." And I was like, wow, you were really going week to week thinking you're the best player in the NBA. I'm Charles Barkley. Like, you talk about like a bubble.
Charles, I think you were the only person who thought that.
But those are the lies you got to tell yourself.
I guess so. And with Michael Jordan, it wasn't a lie. He was the greatest, and he had that drive, right?
Yes.
And his leadership was great. Which brings me to, Shannon Sharp today, when he was talking to Skip.
That's my dude.
Right? Talking to Skip about how, we love Shannon, and we'll let him know that when we get him on the Bizz. He was saying today that Michael Jordan's leadership style wouldn't have worked for him. Because he's an alpha.
He's an alpha male.
He's an alpha. So I thought it was an interesting take, even though, and he did recognize, obviously, MJ is the greatest. He loves Michael Jordan, but he did acknowledge that wouldn't have worked for me, and so it's interesting to watch the documentary. One thing I do appreciate about it is that even though it's, Last Dance, it's, Michael Jordan's, ascent to greatness, to where he belonged. I do like the fact that we're getting glimpses of other players.
No air quotes needed. No air quotes needed. It's true. Just greatness.
He's all air, right? But I do like the fact that we got, some Scottie Pippen in there, because I think Scottie needed that.
Scottie Pippen. Who's got like 32 kids, and I didn't know like some of because I was younger in the 90s, but like I didn't know that he was grossly underpaid, and he was super underpaid. And when they said the terms, I forget the terms. It was like
7 years, $18 million.
It's a terrible contract. That's
terrible.
That's
when you are
the second best player.
Yeah. Clearly the number 2 possibly in the league, basically. There's a graphic they put on the screen where it said at one point he led the team in assists and all types of stats that he had. Maybe he led them in assists, and he was only second in points. And just this graphic, I forget exactly what they were, but it was an episode, the Scottie Pippen episode. It tells you that, right? And when you look at that, and you're like, how did they not pay this guy? How did they not?
Well,
then
they had him handcuffed, and why didn't you use your middle school math to know that contract was terrible?
I don't know. Well, they definitely don't have that flexibility of contract negotiation that NFL players are exercising today, right? Dude signs a rookie contract today, becomes hot, and he wants to renegotiate his contract 2 years with 2 years left on it.
Oh, don't get me started on that.
Yeah, Scotty.
Don't even get me.
So, there's so many things we can discuss about it, and it's not over. So I definitely want to revisit it when it's finally over. But I have been enjoying it. It's a nice look into Michael Jordan and the Bulls and everything that was surrounding them. Their relationships with Jackson and Jack Krause, and just. Yeah, the whole. When we watch it on TV, we don't see all the stuff that's going on behind the scenes. So it's nice to have that insight.
And I also like seeing what the players look like today and their interviews today.
Right. Yeah.
They're not going back to like Tony Kukoc in the 90s. They're getting one from him today.
Right.
Because he was like the Michael Jordan of Europe, and he was like the number 3 on that team. That team is just.
Dude, I was watching. I think I saw B.J. Armstrong. I was like, oh, I forgot about B.J. Armstrong.
Dude, he tried to do some spots on TV maybe a month or so ago, and some of these guys, whether NFL basketball, some of these guys just don't have it for TV.
Some don't.
Some are like, yeah, I played basketball. Basketball is what I played.
I love basketball. It was a good game. I love it. They got us in transition. We
but
right on the court, we did the game, we won the game. I love it.
See, what's funny is like Shaq can turn that on, but Shaq has all this charisma just oozes through the screen. I want to think my father, my mother. You take it. Yeah. But Shaq and the relationship of Shaq and Charles Barkley, it just works. It's brilliant.
That was my really bad Shaq impression, by the way. It's funny that you said that.
She said I can't get my voice deep enough because I'm not 7 years old. He's great on TV. He's great on TV. But then you see the guys that they do this on the NFL Network where they bring in guys that are just like, oh my god, it's so watchable.
Yeah, Shaq needs to leave his shoes on though. Shaq, leave your shoes on. No one wants to see you. No one wants to see you, and they're nasty. You dig?
He went live on Instagram with Kevin Hart, and he showed Kevin Hart his foot. He says, your foot has COVID. Oh, my God.
Oh, horrible.
Dude, that too.
Well, so we got this Sunday, I believe, is the final 2 episodes of The Last Dance. So once it's all done and we've had a chance to absorb it all in his airness.
It makes me want to go to the park and play basketball.
It does,
I can't.
Right?
It makes me want to go play basketball.
Well, when it's all cleared up and we can go outside and play again, we can do that. But definitely after it's over, we'll come back, we'll revisit it, we'll talk about it in its entirety and kind of give a full-on reaction to it. But I'm enjoying it. I can't wait to see the rest of it. It's just nice to see those insights.
It is.
All right. So for everyone out there, if you have any comments about what we're discussing, please hit those like buttons. Make sure you please subscribe. We will be back shortly. This is Daniels D Money signing off from Simi Valley.
Hey, Ron down in San Diego. Till next time.
And we out.
Bizz.